orang gitu loh. Jadi kelihatan banget bahwa kespontanitasan dia ini dalam membawakan lagu kelihatan bagus. Ya, paling technically speaking ya yang harus diperbaiki dari Melanie adalah pitch control dia. Pitch control dia di akhir kata itu suka miss. Jadi di akhir kata misalnya never been enough, ya, never been enough. It has to be enough, not enough. Ya, itu nggak ada suku kata.
Oke, Melanie, oke, that's nice. Oke, saya suka nada tinggi kamu, luar biasa banget. Konsisten banget. That's good. Berarti support kamu bagus banget. Your problem hanya di low notes kayaknya. Jadi low notes itu kamu harus bener-bener latih supaya bisa lebih mulus, supaya nggak jomplang dengan nada tinggi kamu. Karena kamu udah pilih lagu ini yang range-nya sangat luas, dari sangat rendah sampai sangat tinggi. Jadi kalau kamu bisa nyanyi mulus banget di rendahnya dan kamu berakhir dengan nada tinggi yang seperti itu pasti akan sangat luar biasa. That's nice.
I'm jealous of the rain that falls upon your skin. It's closer than my hands have been. I'm jealous of the rain. I'm jealous of the wind that ripples through your clothes. It's closer than your shadows. Oh, I'm jealous of the wind, 'cause I wished you the best of all this world could give. And I told you when you left me, there's nothing to forgive. But I always thought you'd come back and tell me all you found was heartbreak and misery. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me. I'm jealous of the nights that I don't spend with you. I'm wondering who you lay next to. Oh, I'm jealous of the nights. I'm jealous of the love that wasn't here, gone for someone else to share. Oh, I'm jealous of the love, 'cause I wished you the best of all this world could give. And I told you when you left me, there's nothing to forgive. But I always thought you'd come back and tell me that all you found was heartbreak and misery. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me. As I sank in the side, watch you slip through my hands. as I die here another day. Hey, 'cause all I do is cry behind this smile. I wish you the best that all this world could give, and I told you when you left me, there's nothing to forgive. But I always thought you'd come back and tell me that all you found was heartbreak and misery. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me.
Iya, oke, Phoebe. Udahlah, kalau Phoebe mah dari segi kreativitas kayaknya dia paling edgy ya ininya videonya. Paling paling kekinian. Dia suka sih videonya, konsep videonya bagus. Terus oke, kalau ngomongin dari segi penampilan dan nyanyinya semuanya ya, dia develop mood lagunya tuh nggak kemana-mana. Jadinya menurut Miss agak flat gitu, walaupun dia udah tarik suara sampai ke belakang itu masih belum bisa memunculkan potensi lagunya itu sendiri. Gitu. Artikulasi vokalnya lumayan baik, lumayan. Power manage-nya sebenarnya dia bisa lebih baik lagi. Kalau dia nyanyinya bisa lebih powerful dan lebih pakai effort. Ada kalau misalnya di teknik nyanyi itu ada namanya teknik yang lebih suara perut ya, itu ada tenaga-tenaga yang bisa dia keluarin gitu dari perut. Effortnya bisa lebih baik lagi. Pitch control-nya oke banget. Cuman ya sisanya itu mood lagunya masih belum kemana-mana.
Oke, Phoebe, that's nice. Karakter vokalnya enak banget, suara kamu enak banget di telinga. Kamu hanya kurang support aja, makanya di part terakhir yang di ref terakhir yang harusnya jadi klimaks ada beberapa pitchy karena supportnya agak kurang di nada tinggi. Kamu belajar itu aja atau kamu switch ke falsetto, sebenarnya karena falsetto kamu enak banget ya. Jangan dipaksain untuk teriak karena itu kayak gitu bisa sedikit pitchy karena support yang masih belum terlalu baik. Okay, but very beautiful voice.
I'm jealous of the rain that falls upon your skin. It's closer than my hands have been. Oh, I'm jealous of the rain. I'm jealous of the wind that ripples through your clothes. It's closer than your shadow. Oh, I'm jealous of the wind, 'cause I wish to the best of all this world could give. And I told you once you left the nights that I don't spend with you. I'm wondering who you lay next to. Oh, I'm jealous of the nights I'm jealous of the love that wasn't here, gone for someone else to share. Oh, I'm jealous of the love. I wish you the best of all this world could give. And I told you once you left me, there's nothing to forgive. But I always thought you'd come back, tell me all you found was heartbreak and misery. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me. As I sink in the sand, watch you slip through my hands. Oh, as I die here another day. Oh, 'cause all I do is cry behind this smile. I wish you the best of all this world could give. And I told you that you love me, there's nothing to forgive. But I always thought you'd come back, tell me all you found was heartbreak and misery. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me. It's hard for me to say I'm jealous of the way you're happy without me.
Ya, Shanti Dewi, dia tuh powernya bagus banget. Pokoknya segala sesuatu tekniknya tuh bagus, tapi yang Miss mau highlight di sini clarity suara dia, clarity notes-nya itu bagus gitu. Dia she has to be proud about that. Dia power control-nya masih bisa lebih baik lagi sebenarnya. Karena apa? Karena she just sing aman-aman aja sebenarnya. Padahal harusnya kalau misalnya dia mau nekat sedikit naikin key-nya, dia bakal bisa lebih bagus. Sebenarnya dia bisa nyanyi lebih tinggi karena emang suara dia powerful di high voice. Karena dia tidak naikin key, makanya kesan interpretasi lagunya agak flat gitu. Tapi secara pembawaan, penjiwaan segala macam udah bagus, teknik udah bagus, hanya kurang berani. Jadinya itu saja. Oke, kalau soal Shanti Dewi.
Santi, oke, that's nice. Keren banget, keren banget. Aman banget sih. Hebat banget, kamu nyanyi aman banget. That's very good. Suaranya juga indah, I like it. That's good, that's good. Paling saya kasih sedikit masukan aja supaya kamu jadi jauh lebih baik ya. Di part terakhir, pada saat kamu teriak jealous of the way, itu di yang paling terakhir, kalau kamu bisa tambahin sedikit resonansi, suara kamu akan terdengar jauh lebih indah. Karena kalau kamu resonansinya seperti yang kamu nyanyi ini, akan sedikit terdengar nasal. Jadi kamu harus sedikit tambahin resonansi. I'm jealous of the way. Pasti akan lebih nggak terlalu tajam suaranya. Jadi lebih enak. Tapi suara kamu indah banget. That's good.
Sing bad, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Our song on the radio, but it don't sound the same. When our friends talk about you, all it does is just tear me down. 'cause my heart breaks a little when I hear your name. It all just sounds like ooh, 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 ooh. Too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers. Little hand, should have give you all my hours when I have the chance. Take you to every party, 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. Now my baby's dancing, but you're dancing with another one. My pride, my ego, my needs, and my selfish ways cause a good, strong person like you to come alive. Now I never got to clean up the mess I made, and it haunts me every time I close my eyes. It all just sounds like woo. Too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers and hold your hand. Should have give you all my heart when I have the chance. Take you to every party, 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. Now my baby's dancing, but you're dancing with another one. Oh, although it hurts, I'll be the first to say that I was wrong. I know I'm probably much too late. Try and apologize for my mistake, and I just want you to know. I hope he holds your hand, give you all his towers when he has the chance. Take you to every party, 'cause I remember how much you love to dance. Do all the things I should have done when you were the one. Do all the things I should have done when I was your man.
That's such a great performance. Dia kelihatan banget nguasain lagunya. Tapi ya balik lagi ke masalah yang Miss highlight ya, penjiwaannya bagus, penampilannya keren, terus kreativitasnya juga siapa yang sangka dengan mikrofon seperti itu, dan di baliknya ada gorden seperti itu, terlihat wow, seperti cover-cover di YouTube yang proper gitu, kelihatan elegan. Oke, tapi ketepatan nadanya sama artikulasinya masih harus diperhatikan gitu, seperti Grace Note ya, improvisasinya dia berani tuh yang kayak itu bagus banget, dia berani untuk improv, tapi ketepatan nadanya yang masih harus banyak dilatih gitu. Jadi teknik vokal benar-benar.
Saya suka banget. Hanya satu yang ini, it's my opinion ya. Kebetulan saya diminta jadi judge, it's my humble opinion. I think kamu agak sedikit terlalu berlebihan kayaknya ornamennya, riff and run-nya. Kalau di terakhirnya kamu berakhir dengan just make it simple, akan lebih tulus kedengarannya lagunya. Ini jadi agak hilang sedikit ketulusan lagunya karena kamu akhiri dengan begitu. Tapi secara teknis itu susah banget. Riff and runs kamu, wow, luar biasa. But tidak semua lagu harus diperbuat itu. Karena ada lagu-lagu contoh seperti ini yang bisa hilang meaningnya pada saat kamu buat seperti itu. Oke? Thank you.
trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off the dream in me, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand, will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Down the goal is still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it'll never be enough, never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. Never enough, never enough, never enough for me, for me, for me. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Down the road, these hands could hold the world, but it'll never be enough, never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. Never enough, never enough, never enough for me, for me, for me.
Powerful ya, sangat powerful. Miss
Vanessa,
cuman, iya, Miss cuman bisa bilang performance-nya powerful banget, penjiwaannya keren banget. Terus apalagi ya, kreativitas ya udahlah kan, walaupun dengan backdrop putih doang gitu ya, but she dress really well. Jadi ini yang Miss mau ngomong soal penampilan ya. Penampilan kelihatan ya dari gesture dia menyanyikan lagu ini, dia nyanyi tuh penampilannya all out gitu. Jadi ini yang berbeda dari penampilan dan kreativitas. Jadi penampilannya juga, aduh, I cannot say anything. Penampilannya keren banget. Menurut Miss keren banget. Improvisasi dia juga tahu improvisasinya kapan harus masuk gitu. Tapi sayang sekali teknik vokalnya masih bisa harus dikembangin lagi. Terus artikulasinya, cara dia mengucapkan setiap kata-katanya kayak peserta yang mana yang tadi Miss bilang ya. Jadi never enough ya, it has to be huruf matinya harus ada. Enough, not enough. Apa ina itu apa ya? Never, never ya, not never ya. Jadi kata-kata tuh harus jelas semuanya.
Oke, Vanessa. Oke, that's very good. Suara tidak perlu diragukan. That's very nice. Saya tambahin sedikit untuk performance kamu aja supaya kedepannya jauh lebih enak. Kadang-kadang gerakan badan kita bisa membantu kita saat nyanyi. Nah, untuk kali ini menurut saya kamu buat gerakan yang terlalu banyak menurut saya, sampai agak sedikit ketahan. Harusnya kebebasan dari lagunya yang harusnya never enough, jadi ketahan jadi never enough karena kamu nahan dengan badan kamu yang terlalu gerak. Harusnya kalau kamu buat badan kamu jadi lebih luas, lebih enak, biarin dia ngikutin never enough instead of never enough. Kamu justru menurut saya, it's my opinion. Jadi akhirnya kedengeran kurang lepas, padahal harusnya wah kedengeran sampai akhir itu nyambung semua. Ini seperti jadi per part kamu nyanyinya, jadi bagian-bagian. But your voice is very good. Thank you.
Same bed, but it feels just a little bit bigger now. Our song on the radio, but it don't sound the same. When our friends talk about you, all it does is just tear me down. 'Cause my heart breaks a little when I hear your name. It all just sounds like ooh. Too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers and held your hands. Should have gave you all my hours when I had the chance. Take you to every party 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. And now my baby's dancing, but she's dancing with another man. My pride, my ego, my needs and my selfish ways. 'Cause a good strong woman like you to walk out my life. Now I never get to clean up the mess I made. And it haunts me every time I close my eyes. It all just sounds like ooh. Too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers and held your hand. Should have gave you all my hours when I had a chance. Take you to every party 'cause all you wanted to do was dance. And now my baby's dancing, but she's dancing with another man. Although it hurts, I'll be the first to say that I was wrong. I know I'm probably much too late to try and apologize for my mistake, but I just want you to know I hope he buys you flowers. I hope he holds your hands, gave you all his hours when he has the chance. Take you to every party 'cause I remember how much you love to dance. Do all the things I should have done when I was your man. Do all the things I should have done when I was your man.
Jocelyn sebenarnya pembawaannya masih bisa lebih baik lagi, pembawaan lagunya. Jadi dari penguasaan lagu, Jocelyn masih agak ragu sebenarnya sama lagu ini. Tapi sisanya pitch control oke di nada-nada tengah. Cuman saat mau reach ke nada tinggi dia masih kurang balance nih notes-nya untuk itu. Karakter suaranya unik banget ya. Miss suka karakter suaranya benar-benar unik dan dia menurut Miss harusnya dia bisa pilih lagu lain gitu dengan karakter suara yang begini, nggak harus When I Was Your Man. Sayang banget sebenarnya bisa pilih lagu ya mungkin kayak Sebuah Rasa atau yang lain gitu karena karakter suara dia lebih pas di sana gitu. Atau maybe yang lebih challenging kayak Never Enough itu bagus banget karena suara dia clarity-nya itu bagus. Clarity note-nya, clarity artikulasi dia ya artikulasinya baik. Jadi secara teknik menurut Miss dia harusnya bisa lebih nekat untuk pilih lagu yang susah dibandingkan When I Was Your Man.
Jocelyn, peserta terakhir, luar biasa. Kamu menutup dengan enak banget, aman banget, aman banget. That's nice. Saya jatuh cinta pada saat ending dari kamu. Itu ending kamu suaranya enak banget. Kalau kamu nyanyi dari awal suaranya seperti itu pasti kamu indah banget kamu nyanyinya. That's very good tapi. Saya suka suaranya enak. At some point ada beberapa tempat yang kalau kamu bisa tambahin sedikit greget akan jauh lebih enak. Dan kayaknya kerendahan buat kamu. Kalau kamu bisa tambahin tinggi key-nya bisa dapat lebih gregetnya bisa dapat lagi. That's nice. Thank you.
you? Hmm? Anything special? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the preliminary round of Narada Invitational Cup 2.0's English Debate Competition 2021. I'm Justin, and I'm your LO for this round. We'll be debating under the motion, this house believes that the age of digital information like social media, online news, etc. has done more harm than good in protecting democracy, with our adjudicator for this round being Miss Nadia. Speaking from the affirmative team will be Sekolah Play Utama 1, with first speaker Doreen Renata, second speaker Joan, and third speaker Alexander Chua. And speaking from the opposition team will be Sekolah Maitreya Wirabatam 2, with its first speaker Fiona, second speaker Kelly, and third speaker Yvonne. Each speaker has to deliver their arguments within 7 minutes. I will play this sound once at the first minute and again at the 6th minute, indicating the time during which POIs may be raised. Then at the 7th minute, I'll play the sound twice, indicating that the time is up. You will be given a 20-second grace period, and I will play the sound continuously if your speech runs over the 20-second grace period, indicating that you have to stop your speech. Any questions? Okay, now let's start the debate. I call upon the first speaker of the affirmative team, Doreen Renata.
Firstly, before I start my speech, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to start my debate in 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, fellow contestants as well as judges. My name is Doreen, and I'm going to be the first speaker of the government side of the House. Going under the motion, this House believes that age of digital information has done more harm than good in protecting democracy. Me, Doreen Renata, would be the first speaker. I would give the understanding as well as my arguments. My second speaker, Joanne, will give the arguments as well as rebuttal from the opposition side of the House. And my third speaker, Alex, will also rebuttal as well as giving more understanding towards the argument. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's first understand what digital information is. Digital information means any communication through social media that operates with the use of any varied and coarse machine relative from data formation. Now, again, another one is, what is democracy? Democracy is a system of government by the whole population or all the elected members of a state, typically through election representative. So it basically means ruled by the people, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why digital information has bring more harm than good. Firstly, is the manipulation of freedom of speech. So what happens throughout this manipulation of speech is cyberbullying, racism, internal conflicts, and etc. It can cause mass panics, ladies and gentlemen. Seeing from the past experience, false information have caused mass panics throughout the country. And firstly, before I continue on, our parameter would be the USA. I repeat, our parameter would be the USA. Now, firstly, ladies and gentlemen, if I have to give you an example of an internal political conflict, it's between Biden as well as Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen from the Twitter usage of Trump that he has spread lots of racist comments as well as fake news, as well as spreading hate towards individual or even an individual race, ladies and gentlemen, which is something that is very, very harmful towards the democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, even with the law, now we have seen from the status quo, bullying and racism and hate speech keeps on happening. Even in law, during a January 2021 survey, it was found that 75% of online harassment victims in the USA has been bullied through social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. With 24% of the responding victims stating to have been harassed more than one in each platform, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, cyberbullying vendors expand global cybercrime costs to grow by 15% per year over the past 5 years. Research about 10.5 trillion USD dropped by 2025 and up from 3 trillion USD in 2015, ladies and gentlemen. So it can also affect our economic. Now, why is it important that it affects our economic? If the economic fails and if it goes down, then crimes will increase, ladies and gentlemen. People will not care anymore about democracy, and they would start using violence as key to finding lots of things such as food, and because they are laid out from their work because of the economic downfall, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, like I said before, mass panics, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen from false information that has happened throughout the year is that mass panic has made lots of citizens buy mass products throughout the country, and it is a very bad thing because sometimes it will lead up to violence and crimes, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, there's also a power imbalance, ladies and gentlemen. So empowering the powerful. So corporation and government agendas generally do not serve democratic goals and outcome. They serve the goal of those in power. So again, how can you, again, this is why it's digital information throughout social media is very much harmful towards democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, there's also, again, like I said before, false information. People can believe and start posting it through social media. And because of social media has a really wide platform, ladies and gentlemen, words would spread very, very fast. And again, it will make people panic. And not only that, it can also lead into hate of a certain race. Let's just give an example for this COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen from the media that too much freedom of speech can lead up to hate towards a certain race, like I said before, which is racism. People are getting bullied, attacked just because of their race, which is something that is very, very, very bad, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we can see again and again from social media that there is too much more harm than good in this kind of usage of digital information. And that is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. That was 5 minutes and 17 seconds. We shall now hear from the first speaker of the opposition team, Fiona.
Give me a second. This is what I want. Please zoom out. Please zoom out. All right. For POIs, you can just unmute your mic and feel free to cut me off during my speech. And I will be starting my speech in 3. Oh, wait, sorry, my timer. I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2. The world has become more and more advanced. There's no doubt on how digital information has evolved into having more and more speed in spreading, right? With so much problems going on in the world right now, a place where people can get their knowledge is no other than the social media and the news from the television, exactly because it is easier to access, right? Meaning that with all the knowledge gained from the social media, people will have all sorts of thoughts and opinion about things they found on the internet, right? Hence, our side of house believes that the digital information such as social media and online news has done more good in protecting democracy, with reasons that will be included in our arguments. Their side of house needs to prove to us on how can digital information bring more harm to democracy when it literally does fulfill the 3 metrics of democracy already. Before going on to my arguments, a few rebuttals for them. First of all, they've stated that there will be bullying or racism, right? This is we say that this is not exclusive on our side already, meaning that in any scenarios possible, harassment will most definitely happen, meaning that it will still happen in their side as well. We don't understand why they're bringing something up that occurs in their world as well. Other rebuttals will also be included in my speech. Now, going on to my arguments. first argument about the metrics of democracy, right? First of all, why digital information, right? It is what is digital information? Sorry, it is a place to get information, meaning that there will be so much personalization. For example, you will be commenting on people's posts and having others to reply to your comment, creating a sort of engagement. Considering there's so much platforms in social media such as Instagram, Twitter, etc., that we can have access to and use, we can actually get information and discuss with other users very easily, right? Now, going on to the three metrics of democracy. Firstly, about the participation. With digital information and technology and gadgets that are so easily accessed by people in the current status quo, almost every people has this access to it, right? The access to gadgets, meaning that they will have the access to social media and the current trends and more participation from the people or any people, which is our inclusivity, right? We acknowledge that there are people who actually has no access to gadgets, but we say that it is actually okay because it will only exist in a small group, right? Considering that the majority of the people in the current status quo has already have access to gadgets, no matter that you're a little child or someone really old, you have the access to it, right? Now, going on to the second metrics about representation. We said that social media is basically a platform to voice out your opinion, right? Bad or good, it doesn't matter, because at the very end of the day, it is still democracy as long as you have something to voice your opinion or your thoughts out. This is what democracy is, right? Meaning that it is a place that represents people's voice that can be easily voiced out because, yeah, that the social media and the accessibility that people have towards the social media and for voicing out their opinion and such. Now, onto the third metrics about accountability. I will be breaking this into three parts. First, about the government's responsibility, right? The governments are indeed ordinary human as well. They can actually have access to the social media, getting into a platform full of people's voices and opinions, meaning that the people's voices can actually be heard and engaged by the government, right? Moreover, for the government, they can actually publish anything they want the people to know and what the people want to know as well, such as political issues, right, and etc. Meaning that this is actually a win-win solution for both the government and the people. Now, going to the second and the third, which is both a response to the pro-side statement about false information. Firstly, there's countless platforms that people can go to fact check, considering that this is extremely accessible, like what I've stated, that every person, the majority of people right now has the access to gadgets and social media, digital information, things like that. Meaning that if the other side tries to say that there could be false information, like what they've already stated, given by these platforms, we will say that they can easily find official platforms, for example, to get this true information. And if they don't want to find these facts and go fact check to official platform and choose to believe these false information instead, it is their risk to take, because in the end of the day, it's themselves that actually believes these false things, right? And second response, which is about the critics from the professionals, right? From digital information, we can actually receive criticism from the professionals in several different fields, several different fields that professionals have are focusing on, and that this actually acts as a guide that leads the discourse, right? And it is actually really beneficial for the people to know what the professionals think, meaning that the society can actually check and balance about these certain issues that will change the society's mindset to become wiser. And we said even if this doesn't change their mindset as a whole, we said that we can actually mitigate people to misleading beliefs, like what they've stated about false information and hoaxes, right? Therefore, we believe that these three metrics can, if we can fulfill these three metrics of democracy, which we already did, meaning that we have already proven to you on why digital information actually bring more good than harm because it does nothing to harm the democracy, right? And therefore, we believe that digital information brings more brings more good in protecting democracy because we managed to fulfill these three metrics of democracy. And exactly because we have fulfilled them, we have won this debate already. Thank you.
Thank you. That was 6 minutes and 37 seconds. I now call upon the second speaker of the affirmative team, Joan. Time is yours.
Okay, first of all, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, for POIs, I will accept them through the chat box. If you have any POI, you can just type POI and I'll see if I'll accept the POI later. And I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Greetings, panels, and also fellow debaters. I'm the second speaker from the government side of the House debating under the motion. This House believes that the age of digital information has done more harm than good in protecting democracy. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna state my arguments first and also emphasize on what my first speaker has stated. First of all, democracy itself is, it also focuses on equality, right? Which brings to my next point, again, about mass panic and often people's opinion makes them differentiate race and gender. Like, for example, according to the parameter in the United States, a lot of cases, race cases, are mostly of Black and white people, which is also connected to the power imbalance that my first speaker stated, overpowering the powerful people, which leads to my next point is about this Black and white people. Often the Black people are neglected, and this means it goes back to the power imbalance by overpowering the powerful. And also, my next argument is too much freedom of speech. Again, back to the manipulation and also abuse of freedom of speech itself. It can delude the public and also hate of speech. This hate speech brings to my next point. It will bring to internal conflict that brings harm to the government and also the democracy in a particular country. Political conflict, like for example, in the US, you can see there's a lot of political conflicts that happen because of social media. First of all, Trump posted a lot of racism tweets and also attacks the other races and also other countries, which would lead to political instability and also which leads to lower democracy. And also Donald Trump's son spread hate towards other political parties and also said Biden is a liar and now generals are disgraced, Democrats are not smart, which you know the harsh word is. And we believe that by having these internal conflicts, it will lead to more harm than good towards the democracy in a particular country, which is back to the equality and how people can respect each other's opinion. But here, if spreading so much hate towards through social media would only harm the democracy, am I right? And also, the opposition said that it is accessible. True, social media is easily accessible. That's why we believe the manipulation of freedom of speech in democracy itself through social media is too much that can delude the public back to the hate speech again. And also, moving on to my next point, crimes that Americans worry about the most is having personal and financial and other info stolen by computer hackers, which leads to my next point about cybercrimes. Cybercrimes itself is one of the biggest online data breaches as of 2021. And there were 1.1 billion records lost, which is a threat to democracy because citizens feel unsafe. Again, democracy is a system where citizens and also its people of its government respect each other's opinion, right? Which people rule the country. And which leads to my next point about cybersecurity and insurance. It is proven that increased from 75.6 billion to 124 billion US dollars, which affects the economy instability. And how this economy actually affects democracy is proven that higher GDP or capita correlates with democracy itself. And also, moving on to my rebuttals, the opposition side of the House brought about accessible social media, but it's proven that a desire to manipulate public opinion is implied. For example, in the deliberate leaking of emails central to Hillary Clinton's electoral campaign from campaign chair John Podesta inbox. The intention is simple: to use a well-timed hack and leak email to cause maximum embarrassment and to change public opinion for political advantage. And it is a massive leap to imagine the potential impact that a fake email inserted as a part of large-scale hack might have. King said that. And also, they brought about, we can get a lot of knowledge from social media, but then back again to the fake news. Okay, they said that there are official platforms and fact checks, but again, back to how social media is easily accessible doesn't actually rebut the fact that mass panic still happens, and we can't see the solution or even the fact that it actually brings more good than harm towards protecting the democracy in a particular country, because in here, the mass panic still happens. Logically seeing how it is too accessible to all people across the country and how they can actually manipulate these freedom of speech again, it will bring up to still mass panics happens. And public opinions are part of them. Public opinion sometimes doesn't always depend on facts, right? And these fact check isn't something really strong to actually prove that it brings good than harm. And they stated that good or bad doesn't matter. It's still democracy. But the fact that we're debating under the motion, it brings more harm than good. We don't believe that good or bad doesn't matter. We believe that more harm, social media or digital information itself brings more harm than good in protecting democracy. They also said that government can publish anything they want to the society, which actually proves our point that government itself, there are also people, like they said, government is also people, which means they also make mistakes. They can actually delude the public too. The government isn't always good, like proving like my point. I brought the fact that political conflict that happened because the government spreaded hate and also racism towards other society, and also the society itself deludes other people. And they also brought about social media can create an engagement in a society, but they didn't see that they can also be engaged towards other negative effects which may happen in the society, and they they didn't really see the big effect of engagement itself. They didn't see the fact that they can bring to negative effects and also more racism. And we can see the fact that they state that there's bullying and racism, which still happens without even digital information. Harassment still happens. But proving the fact that social media is easily accessible, don't you think that being harassed is can be easily happen itself? Because harassment from social media still happens, which means that too much social media being too accessible means that society itself can be deleted, and also hate speech may happen. And also, even with the law, it still happens, right? This too much freedom of speech will bring to a lot of chaos, which brings back to the mass panic that will happen, which a solution is not yet stated on how to take care of that. And from that, from the second speaker from the government side of the House, proudly propose this motion. Thank you, panelists and co-moderators.
Okay, thank you. That was 7 minutes and 21 seconds. I now call upon the second speaker of the opposition team, Kelly.
Am I audible?
Yes.
I'll set my timer. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels. Their side of the House has lost at the moment. They failed to explain to us clearly about their mechanism and leaving all of us blurry. Our side will be able to protect the democracy better. And moving on to my rebuttals, I'm going to bring up few rebuttals today about what the government side of the House has stated earlier. So firstly, their side of the House state that democracy is about equality. two layers of responses for this. So first layer, no, it is not true, because how democracy works is that the result is based on the majority. So it is not equal at the very first place, right? And second layer, even if it is true, it is only true at the aspect of freedom of choice and decision, and of the freedom of choice and decision, but it is still not equal when you are talking about the result of the democracy, because it stick to the majority. And secondly, there's of the house also state about hate comments on the Twitter and stuff. But hate comments is unavoidable in both sides, right? So every harm that they mention is not exclusive. And even if there are such harm in our side, we can mitigate the harm better than their side. And next, there's at the house say that Trump caused something about racism that can inflict conflict. So we say that that harm is not exclusive, because even in offline speech, he still can do that, right? And there's of the house also say that there will be hackers. We say that it is not true, but even if there are hackers, such online news websites have a tight security and system that won't be so easily to be hacked. And there's of the house just keep attacking us with our worst case, and so their arguments doesn't stand. So moving on to my arguments. Firstly, it's about how only in our side of the house the democratic system will become better. So first point, how only on our side we can make people more knowledgeable about the current politic or economic situation to use their right of voting. So with the social media or the online news, people can know more about what is going on in the status quo, and they can gain more information, and they will have a clear decision to decide which candidate that they will choose. And on the social media, people can find information that are easy to understand, such as in the BBC News, Fox, and more. But on their side of the house, where everything is on offline, people will have less knowledge about everything that is going on in the politic world, because not every person can understand politics easily, because politics is so complicated. And their side of the house, stated that people will only get the misleading information. But even if it is true, we say that it is still okay, exactly because people are accessible for all kind of news, and they can explore the other news to compare which is right and which is wrong. So our side of the house will be able to mitigate the harm better. So moving on to my extension about the algorithm of social media. So in the social media, such as the Twitter, when there are an online news, people will discuss in the comment section, and democracy will be able to achieve better in our side of the house, is because people can participate in the discussion. And if that happens, our side of the house will be able to uphold democracy better. And even if on our worst case scenario, where there will be some false comment or misleading opinions, we believe that it is totally fine, because we realize that the algorithm on the social media, such as Instagram and Twitter, is like the comments with the most likes, replies, or even sub replies will be moved up to the top by the system, and that is the most accurate because it is approved by so many people. And even if there are some wrong information, just like what the government side of the house said, there will be correcting mechanism, which means people will reply to it and tell them that you are wrong and the truth is this. And we believe that at the end of the day, everything will be solved. No, thank you. So let's take it on their base case scenario. So there will be no cyberbullying on their side of the house, right? But it is still worse, because on their side, there will be direct bullying where people punch each other, and it will cause a bigger riot and victims. Meanwhile, on our side, even if there are hate replies about your comments, you can just simply ignore it, and the impact is low because you are discussing things online. So our side of the house have that exclusivity, which is, firstly, we can have more participation and reaction from the government as well as the people on their country, and it wouldn't be able to achieve the real definition of democracy. And why is it bad? Because, for example, when they are choosing for a president candidate, they know zero about it. They know nothing about it, and they can't decide who to choose, and they will just choose randomly one of the president. And it is bad because your voting decision will affect on your future country, will affect your future, how will your future country look like. And on our side of the house, we can create more action and reaction between the government and the citizen and the citizens. And the second scenario is that people wouldn't even care about the politics in their country because it is hard to understand. politics is hard to understand and there are no simple information about it. Why? Because realize that people tend to participate in the discussion of politics is because there are so many tweet, posts, articles, and online news about it on YouTube, Instagram, and so on. So people will become more incentivized to know about it, and people will have more knowledge about politics at the end of the day. And so, as such, we say that our side of the house will be able to achieve the real definition of democracy better. And in conclusion, our side of the house believes that the age of digital information has bring more good to protect the democracy that outweigh the harm. And by all those reasons, we are so proud to oppose. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was 6 minutes and 44 seconds. We shall now hear from the third speaker of the affirmative team, Alexander Chua.
So, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the third speaker of the governments of the House, and debating under the motion today, I would like to do full rebut on what have the proposition of the House has told you. So, first of all, they mentioned about that false information is okay because we have fact checks, we have like gadgets, and then it's the if they don't want to check, it's the risk of. So, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, we know that people tend to believe in what they read immediately. So if you're going to say that fact check is one step in order to prove that false information is wrong, the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, it will just lead to more confusion to people. And they did not clearly mention about how confusion will affect their daily lives. Because as we know, ladies and gentlemen, the status quo right now here is the confusion makes people to not understand what their current situation is. And in the end, it will just lead to wrong votings. And also, they mentioned about participation because, as we know, the status quo right now that we have access to social media. Yes, it is true that we have access to social media, and like they mentioned, that not all have social media, and they believe that it is okay. But ladies and gentlemen, we strongly oppose that because, first of all, we're talking about democracy, right? So democracy is more to the majority and the equality, and they don't believe that it's not equality because people will vote according to majority of the person. So this is one thing that we like to oppose. First of all, like they mentioned that every voice counts because it affects the future. Now, the problem is democracy, we need to be equal. So since we have about how many population in the world, if we're going to vote, everyone needs to have equal chances in voting. Since they have equal chances in voting, let's just say the odds are 50 to 50. Now, one person is going to decide whether they believe or they don't believe. So if they're going to say that participation is like for some people they're okay and no problem at all, ladies and gentlemen, we strongly oppose, as we have mentioned clearly about power imbalance, as those in power are very harmful because like they tend to not believe, they tend to manipulate these kind of things. And also, they mentioned about hate comments are unavoidable, and that is more to the point why we believe that social media is harmful. Now, since hate comments are unavoidable, people will just keep spreading and spreading until they will really suffer from this kind of abuse. And what we mentioned, they mentioned about like direct bullying, right? Direct bullying. Now, the problem is, yes, we know that now the direct bullying there's really lots of case of direct bullying. But the problem is, if you're going to say that social media hate comments are unavoidable and ignore it, the problem is not all people can avoid or ignore it immediately, because some people, they tend to like they tend to think of what they have done or what their opinion is. So we strongly believe that this will just cause more problems into bullying cases like what we have right now in the status quo, which is cyberbullying, which is the new part of this kind of problems. And then they also mentioned about the government, they could like publish anything they want. More to the point, why social media is more harmful. Since they could publish anything they want, we don't know what is the motive of the government, okay? Let's just say one day if the government tend to try to give a it's not false information, it's more to the controversial things, and it will make more problems and more unavoidable things in the future. So this is why social media is more harmful. And actually, they prove that social media is more harmful rather than the benefits itself. And they mentioned about democratic better because we know what's going on in this world. But the problem here is that we're going to say is misinformation. Now we know that BBC, Fox, and more, they're really they are the official news in the world, and then it is connected to the people. But here's the problem: before BBC have the case where they spread false information, and that is why most people tend to like confuse which one is real, which one is fake. And then if it is true that the official is what if it is true that the official are speaking the truth, the problem is that not all people will believe in the official news because they used to spread false information before, and that is why we believe that social media cause more problems here. Not only that, like what my second speaker mentioned about Trump. Now here's the case: Trump spread hate comments into the society in US, right? So in here, because Biden won, they don't accept it, right? Of course, the Trump people, they won't accept it immediately. In this case, it will cause more problem because both sides don't agree to one another. And since Trump started it first by spreading these hate comments, the people will follow immediately. And then it caused problems. It did cause problems to the US. And yeah, we see that it is very controversial. So we need to say that social media is actually problematic in this society. And also, they mentioned that knowledge, by using social media, we can learn through knowledge. Well, it is true that we learn, we know that knowledge is important because by using social media. The main problem in knowledge is, like what I mentioned, false information again. Now, different people have different opinions, different facts, different case, different ideas. And then if you're going to compare which one is true, which one is false, I strongly don't believe that it is a good idea because facts need to be proven, and then not all people really prove that they are correct. And therefore, this is why that they need to understand what they are moving right now without the help of social media. They need to understand their conditions more so that they can understand what is the function of social media. Now, the case here is social media, right? So since people know that digital information and social media are becoming more worse from day to day, we don't think that social media can cause good or benefits to the society, and instead it will just lead to more problems as we have no solutions to protect this kind of to do this kind of things. And then they mentioned about because now social media have like this kind of tight security and stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we strongly disagree, because even though they have tight security, we see that social media is also being used as one of the hacking things, even though when you speak. And if you can prove that social media is they have the mechanism in order to save, I strongly believe that we have won the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was 7 minutes and 7 seconds. The third speaker of the opposition team, Yvonne, will now deliver their speech opposing the motion.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. If you want to POI, just unmute yourself because I won't be reading the chat at all. Now I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Know that the government side. Oh, sorry. Wait. Let me set up my timer. Okay. Sorry. That I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Know that the government side of the house has already lost this debate in the very first place, because firstly, their first speakers never characterized to you how democracy will work on their side of the house, where their mechanism will be through offline, right? The only thing that they ever say to you is how democracy will instead be back on our side of the house, because this politician will be able to voice out their opinions, which has the possibility of it being a hateful comment, right? And they never even elaborate further on this, on how the possibility of this happening will be lesser on their side of the house, right? Now, secondly, their whole stance in this debate is basically about how democracy in our side of the house will affect the economy, etc. Well, the motion that we are debating about today is about which side of the house can protect democracy better, right? And thirdly, on how they have already failed to characterize to you on the meaning of democracy as something that serves for equality, when in the very first place, it exists for people to vote in order to achieve a solid decision, meaning that democracy can only only be a shift when one side has the upper hand in the situation. So if anything else, democracy does not mean equality at all, as what they characterize to you, right? As such, I will now provide you several points of framings in response to the government's whole case. Now, firstly, they stated to you on how if we were to let democracy be exposed online, where they will be able to have access to everyone and every information, then politicians will be able to communicate their thoughts better, etc. And they proceed again to tell you on how there exists a possibility for these politicians to spread hateful comments like what Trump did regarding racism, etc. Right? Now, two layers of response for this. Firstly, we say that this actually has no relation to the debate whatsoever, as what we are supposed to be debating about today is about who will be able to protect the value of democracy better, right? Not on what will happen if these politicians who has a connection to democracy in a way were to state their opinions to the public. So what if these politicians were to communicate their opinions? Will the true value of democracy be influenced in the slightest? No, because at the end of the day, people will still be able to voice their opinions more freely in online compared to offline, right? Where people literally need to attend rallies and stuff to be able to listen to the state politicians' belief, right? Which we say is the true meaning of which we say is like the true meaning of definition, right? Now, onto my second layer, even if this politician like Trump were to comment hateful stuff online and affect the value of democracy, like what their side of the house is trying to convey to you, we say that this is actually not exclusive on our side of the house only, right? Because notice how the possibility of politicians to speak on their opinions will also happen offline. It doesn't mean that this can only happen online, because they could also do it through campaigns, interviews, rallies, etc. Right? Meaning that the government side of the house is only trying to push the burden to us without actually answering their own burden in the very first place to you. And even if government were to respond to this, it will already be too late in their reply speech, right? Not to mention, when these politicians were to post hateful comments, we ourselves, the house, will actually be able to hold these politicians with more accountability, like what happened with Donald Trump when he ended up getting banned on all social platforms because of his behavior online, right? Now, compare that to the government's word, where these politicians were to voice out their hateful comments or hateful beliefs in maybe their campaigns or rallies, right? Where there is a lower possibility for these politicians to be held accountable, as the only way we can penalize them offline is by not paying them any attention at all, right? And even if they ignore these politicians in order to punish them, we will also actually be able to do the same thing through our mechanism, and will actually be able to hold these politicians with more accountability, instead by restricting them the ability to voice their opinions by banning them online, right? Now, onto my second response about how they say that, right, on how their side of the house will be able to make democracy into something equal, right? The only thing they ever stated to you is how if these people were to have access to the internet, then democracy will not be equal at all, when they never even tell you on how it will be so in their side of the house, right? So we're questioning that as well, government. And notice how comparatively our side of the house will be able to get the closest definition possible to the meaning of equal, like what the government side is telling you, because we are doing it through online, right? Meaning that it is accessible for everyone and it has unlimited information, meaning that our side will be able to shift it more better than the government side of the house, right? Now, after having said that, I will now move on to my classes. Which side of the house can fulfill the metrics of democracy better? Panels, we say that if our side of the house can fulfill the metrics of democracy, and if not better than the government side of the house, then we have practically win this clash and as well as this debate, right? Because this is what it is all about, unlike what the government stated about economics, reputation, etc., like, which is, I've already tell you, not important at all. Now, three layers for this. Firstly, in terms of participation, knowing how almost everyone has access to technologies in today's day and age, where we can see in the current status quo, almost everybody has their own technologies, right? They will be able to access information everywhere, and even will be able to state their own opinion, right? Meaning that they will be able to see the current trends that is ongoing, having the higher possibility for more people to be able to participate in these trends better in our side of the house compared to the government side of the house, where the only people who will be able to participate in democracy is by attending rallies, reading the newspaper, and at the end of the day voting, right? Which we say we hold the exclusivity in terms of this, right? Now, onto my second layer, representation. Secondly, in terms of representation, realize that representation will actually be broader on our side of the house through digital information, because on how our side of the house will be able to broaden the possibility for everyone to participate in a discussion, meaning that no matter if they are the citizens of the same country or not, they will still be able to assess the information, right? Now, they will also be able to exchange their political beliefs with one another, etc. As in the current status quo, almost everyone has access to technologies, right? Like what I've stated to you earlier. And even if a small amount of people do not actually have access to technologies, we say that it won't still matter at the end of the day, because democracy in general is about the majority votes, right? And onto my third layer on accountability. Governments are indeed in ordinary humans as well. Like what my first speaker has stated to you, governments are at the end of the day humans like us, right? So if they were to have access to social media, then they will actually be able to interact like their daily life, etc. Like how Joe Biden literally tells his favorite food is literally ice cream, making him all the more human to the public eyes. With that, I'm so proud to oppose. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Now, either the first or second speaker from each team will deliver a 4-minute reply speech. No new informations may be introduced during these speeches. We will start with the opposition team. Will the ones speaking be Fiona or Kelly?
I will be Fiona.
Okay.
Okay.
You may start now.
Okay. I will be starting with 3, 2, 1. Realize that in this motion, we are talking about protecting democracy, right? We have clearly stated to you about the 3 metrics of democracy, right? 3 things that has to be fulfilled to make something democracy, to make it actually democracy. We've also stated to you on how we actually fulfilled it fully, which proves to you on how democracy is completely fine with digital informations, and we can protect it even better. Firstly, participation, right? We've stated to you on how as long as there are participation from the people, it is already democracy, especially on how judges are extremely accessible right now, right? And secondly, about representation, right? We've also stated to you on how people's voice will be represented in these platforms. For example, social media, Instagram, Twitter, news, and things like that. People's voice will be represented exactly because they have the freedom of speech. No matter is it good or bad, it is still democracy, because in the end of the day, they're speaking out their opinion and thoughts, which is democracy. And thirdly, about the accountability, right? About how the government and the people's win-win situation. Firstly, about the government, right? The government can actually post anything they want and publish anything they want. That they want people to know about, for example, about political issues, things like that. And secondly, for the people have their choice to be heard by the government, especially exactly because on how governments, like what we've stated, are ordinary people that have access to the social media, things like that. They can see the people's voice, meaning that their voice will be represented. Now, the statement, now going on to my, I will point out something that this statement, it will be better for people to know things offline, has only been heard on their third speaker, meaning that it is already too late, considering we have never heard it from the first and second speaker, right? We question its relevance, but okay, let's play in their word where people will have this knowledge from offline, right? Firstly, less information will be given offline, right? They've stated about false information, all their case, but they failed to realize on how false information can also be spread offline, which is bad. Like what they stated, people will believe things that they find out immediately. Exactly because of that, people offline will have this information worse, exactly because they believe it without any possible platform to do a fact check, right? But on our side, we acknowledge that false information can't be avoided. It will still exist in our side on social media and things like that, but we say that we actually have it better exactly because these people have more resources and access to more information that can be actual facts that they can actually find out about, meaning that they will not believe things that are false, right? Now, going on to my first clash about which side of the house can achieve the real definition of democracy, meaning that we will have more accessibility for everyone, meaning that we will have a higher chance for everyone to speak their opinions because they get more information and knowledge online, right? Making it all the more legitimate for us. And linking back to the definition of democracy, which is where people can voice out their opinion and the majority will be win, right? Now, firstly, on their side, compared to their mechanism, people will only participate by attending rallies, campaigns, reading newspaper, etc., making it not accessible for everyone, right? The likelihood of people in their world to exchange opinions will be lower, and comparatively on our side, online people will know how to voice their opinion with so many people, other people to cater to.
Your time is up.
Yeah, that's why we're proud to oppose. Sorry.
Okay. For the opposition team, you spoke for 4 minutes and 14 seconds. We will now hear the affirmative team's reply speech to be delivered by the first or second speaker in 4 minutes. Will Doreen or Joan be the one speaking?
Joan will be the one speaking for the reply speaker.
Okay, you may start.
Okay, I'll start my speech. I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, greeting panels. I'm the reply speech from the government side of the house. Looks like the opposition side of the house clearly is contradicting themselves and also making their own arguments and also opinions, which we didn't state. Okay, which I would explain. First of all, they stated we don't get the statement. It's like as if they're trying to state that we stated that we're trying to make it offline, which we didn't. And the second speaker said that, oh, they didn't make a mechanism on how it will work and stuff. But then the third speaker stated that, oh, they're trying to make the mechanism offline, which we didn't clearly stated, because the motion itself is digital information does more harm than good in protecting democracy. We didn't bring a mechanism on how we will make it offline again. And also they contradicted their own opinion, which they contradicted their own argument, which said that, oh, everybody's opinion must be heard and government must hear the society's opinion. But then the first speaker stated that it's okay for not all people to have gadgets, and it's okay for those who don't have it, but clearly seeing that some people opinions may not be heard, right? Proven hate statements has brought a lot of crimes and also a lot of accidents in life. And also their argument about the impact of low impact of hate speech is not true. Again, they are going against the data itself and also the status quo. Again, they fail to see the fact that there will be more confusion and not all people can see which is right and wrong, which is stated by the third speaker itself, and also which is stated by my third speaker. And they stated about they approve is approved by people that is right, we believe it's not, and it's also proven by my third speaker. Again, they said that hate speech is inevitable and we should do nothing about it. They also didn't bring a mechanism on how they can bring more good rather than bad, right? And also they said that hate speech can be just ignored, but does it apply to all people? They're not looking at the status quo and the bigger fact and the bigger image on how it affects the society. And they also said that equality is not part of democracy, but my second and third speaker from the government stated that people should have equal rights, but people's opinions about differentiating each other's race and gender is affecting because social media is too open. And they're too focused on offline things and effects, which we didn't state. Again, we didn't state about offline things. We didn't state that we'll do offline, which goes back to the motion. We stated about how it brings more harm than good. And they failed to understand the meaning that equality we're bringing is about equality to state their opinion without being outcasted by society, which is part of democracy, right? And my second and third speaker already elaborated about that, and it looks like they failed to understand that. And we believe we should we strongly believe that we won this debate as we have rebutted all their arguments. We brought data and facts on how cyber crimes, how it affects economy, and how economy actually affects democracy. We brought the effects and facts which they did it, and they also did a rebut about that, and also which leaves their arguments mostly are actually unproven because we can't see the data and the facts they bring. Most of them are just opinions, and it looks like they are making a mechanism for us because they stated about offline things which we did. Thank you, panel.
Okay, thank you for the affirmative team. You spoke for 4 minutes and 6 seconds. So thank you all debaters for such an excellent debate. We highly appreciate your participation in the NIC 2.0 English debate competition. I'm now going to hand it over to the adjudicator, Miss Nadia, to give a brief verbal adjudication and decide who's the winner for this round.
Okay, Justin and all the participants, first of all, thank you and congratulations. You have done the first round of the NIC. So it's very an interesting debate. So first of all, my general comments towards the debate is, yes, it is very interesting, and I can see all of your efforts to maintain your arguments to be in line with our motions on how such a long sentence in the motions on how at the end we are trying to protect the democracy. So I give the winning to the team who can answer, who can give a comprehensive arguments towards the first, whether this kind of digital age the effects of digital age and how they can manage the effects of it. And second of all, the second thing is about which team has the ability to maintain the spirit of the motion, which is protecting the democracy. Now I'm going to begin with the government team. Your arguments talking the effects of the digital age is more about the cyberbullying, the tendencies of false informations, the mass panics, and how this kind of panics can also impacts towards the economics, and how it is very easier to manipulate the informations in this digital age. But somehow the opposition teams can attack and can give the rebuttals towards the effects by saying that this kind of effects like bullying and false information doesn't exclusively happen only in digital age, but it can also happen in the offline mechanism. And they're also giving a rebuttals towards they have the fact check mechanism, and they also giving the argumentations on how there is a discussion happen in the social media, and also there is the participations from the professionals, and many people can participate in the discussions, and so on and so forth. So for the effect of the government team, like for the mass panics and the economics, it seems like you failed to characterize how severe it will be if this kind of mass panics continue to happen, and what will happen to the societies and the economics as well. And you mentioned about the data for the economics decline, but somehow it doesn't actually directly correlate with the spirit of the motion on how we are trying to protect the democracy. And second things about the spirit of protecting the democracy, like I have already mentioned, the government team trying to correlate the economic effects like GDP correlate to the democracy, and you also mentioned about the confusion that will be happen in the society, but I cannot catch your comprehensive rebuttals towards the arguments of the opposition teams on how they are trying to say that even though there will be false information and another bad effects you already mentioned, but they still fulfill the metrics of democracy itself. That's the difference between the government and the opposition team. The opposition teams clearly stated what are the parameters they are trying to fulfill in protecting this democracy. They're talking about the participation, representation, and accountability of the government itself, and about the fact check and professional involvement in the discussion of these of the democracies itself. And they're also talking about how we can educate the people by the news and also by participants in the discussion, and they can also voice out their opinion. But unfortunately, we cannot see what happen. We cannot see what will happen if this kind of how the government team trying to manage the effect of this digital age itself. And we cannot compare directly what will the benefits of the government team trying to point out the negative impacts of the digital age towards in protecting democracy, but somehow they cannot characterize the parameter what kind of democracy they would like to achieve. So by those kind of consideration, I'm giving the winning to the opposition team.
Universitas Multimedia Nusantara adalah universitas berbasis teknologi terakreditasi institusi A. UMN memiliki 4 fakultas dan 13 program studi antara lain Informatika, Sistem Informasi, Teknik Komputer, Teknik Elektro, Teknik Fisika, Manajemen, Akuntansi, Perhotelan, Strategic Communication, Multimedia Journalism, Desain Komunikasi Visual, Film, dan Arsitektur. Selain mendidik mahasiswa menjadi profesional, UMN juga mendidik mahasiswanya untuk menjadi entrepreneur melalui program Skystar Ventures. Untuk mengembangkan soft skill mahasiswa, UMN menyediakan berbagai unit kegiatan mahasiswa. UMN juga memiliki berbagai fasilitas yang sesuai standar industri. UMN, Excellent Career begins with excellent education.
Jadi tunggu apa lagi? Jadi tunggu apa lagi?
Halo guys, gue Renaldo, gue mahasiswa Ukrida. Banyak orang yang nanya ke gue, kenapa gue pilih Ukrida sebagai kampus pilihan. Sekarang gue akan kasih tahu kalian why I choose Ukrida. Kampus Ukrida lokasinya super strategis. Akses menuju kampus juga banyak banget. Dan akses yang mudah tentunya jadi salah satu pertimbangan penting untuk milih kampus.
Di Ukrida, kita diajak untuk menggali potensi diri melalui fakultas-fakultasnya. Semua fakultasnya pun sudah terakreditasi dengan baik, sangat baik, dan bahkan unggul. Jadi kalian bisa memilih sesuai dengan minat kalian.
Join sekarang dan temukan potensi terbaikmu.
Bersama Ukrida, kita jadi pemimpin muda.
To see age in a flower, the dawns are speeding up. You know it'll hurt you. Feel all of a sudden tired and teary-eyed. You knew it'd kill you. Don't wear a tie that'll choke you to death in the city. Take it off and forget. Spare the friend that made you miss all of summer. Sweat it out and forget. To see lights in the shower, the panels turn to mush. It still disappoints you. The less of a sudden you wire your weary mind to let it deceive you.